Well, it looks like he has stringy poop, which is an indication of parasites, so I gotta treat again. Okay, this is a situation you don't want to get into when it comes to any kind of fish, and that is having internal parasites that are wreaking havoc, and you have to end up treating them multiple times. Mbu puffers are kind of notorious for having to be treated multiple times to eradicate all the parasites and worms. As you can see right there, he wasn't eating very well, and wasn't eating all of his one clam that I usually give him every other day. Started acting really lethargic. So I began another treatment, and I used Pro. This stuff usually works pretty well. It worked for him before, so I gave it another go. As you can see here, the bubbles coming out of the sponge filter were really fine, and that's due to the Pro doing its job. As you can see here, some of his feces were actually lumpy and stringy together, so things were going too well for him. And right here is when I went to feed him, and he was spitting out most of his food, so it was an indication of he wasn't doing too well. Now, right before this, he actually did puff up, and prior to that, he did puff up a little bit too, so I wasn't sure what was going on with him internally, but I knew something was wrong just from his the way he usually acts, which is usually energetic and across the whole tank, swimming around. And when he does rest, he usually just sits in one spot. Yeah, so he'll dig his own little area out and just rest there. He was taking in a little bit of the food that he was eating, but it wasn't good enough. He was only eating maybe 1/8 of the clam anyway. So he wasn't taking any or very much food in, so I ended up waiting a couple more days until I fed again. And this is what happened. You can see the stringy poo. I dropped the clam in, and his reaction was very odd and weird, and started twitching. It was almost like he wanted to eat, but he couldn't. And he was doing a weird thing with his mouth right there. See that? And then, the face twitches. At this point, the medication was running through for about 6 days, and I didn't see very much improvement. So I ended up going a different route. So I began doing water changes on the 7th day of medication to see if it would make any kind of difference. I did a huge water change, about 80%. And during that water change, he was looking a little bit lively and a little bit better than he was, as you can see right there. Now, this is when I began to worry, is when he kept on facing the opposite direction towards the heater, and he wasn't able to keep himself down. A lot of this might be stemming from me adding the cherry barbs in there, and you can see his labored breathing right there. I'm sure it might have triggered some kind of stress when I added the cherry barbs, but he should have got used to it really fast, but it might have just been a coincidence when he just started getting sick. It shouldn't have made a difference anyway, but at any rate, he wasn't doing too well. Now, I did get some advice, and that was to raise the temp, which I should have known to do anyway, to increase his metabolism and his appetite. I raised the temp to about 82 degrees to see if it made a difference. And at this point, he started to float a little bit, and he couldn't keep himself down anymore. And it pretty much got worse from there. So what I did was add Epsom salt, a minimum dosage of 1/8 teaspoon per 5 gallons. And when I found out that wasn't working, I tried to up the dosage, and I don't have the footage, but he started to poop a little bit, so he's trying to push it out currently, and I will keep you guys all updated on his condition. I'll see you guys on the next one.